We go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Got Danny Thompson back in the queue. Really quick turnaround, Danny. We're not used to it. I mean, we're used to talking offline this way, but not in front of the camera. How are you doing?
Hey, it's been a crazy week. Health is good, and it's almost that time, Ted. We're 1 week away from media day. NBA season is actually media day starts, I think, in some places tomorrow, and so it's exciting. It's basketball season. NFL, two Monday night games tonight. It's a lot going on, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I got 5 questions for you, Danny, and
Okay.
I named this episode "Due Process."
All right.
Danny, for once and for all, who is the MFer that Tom Brady is talking about, and why does it keep coming up?
Sure who it is? I mean, I thought it was Marcus Lattimore yesterday. Um, because he got Mike Evans suspended. Um, I couldn't even tell you who it is at this point because, like, we're gonna find out if Tom Brady took time off to do the mass thing because I think it starts this week.
Yes.
So now Brady's getting every Wednesday off, as far as veteran rest now,
Veteran rest.
which
Gotta
I've
love
never
it.
heard of. It's almost at the DNP old level. But no, I have no idea. To be honest with you, the MF it could be anybody at this point. I mean, we saw him hugging OBJ yesterday. Maybe OBJ is the MFer that he's talking
Oh
about
my
because they've got no
goodness.
receivers. Every
Oh my
receiver's hurt
goodness.
right now.
That's true. Hey, what was your experience last Thursday with Amazon Thursday Night Football?
To me, I mean, outside, if you watch enough stuff on Amazon, you have the one or two buffers, sleep out. We were watching an Amazon Prime movie, but I thought it was great. You had a different broadcast. I'm a data guy, so having a full broadcast devoted to AWS was amazing. Watching the game, watching the statistical data on the screen. I think Kirk Herbstreit's going to need a little bit more seasoning. The man's been calling college football since like last 15, 20 years. So I think him and Al Michaels, they have a good little bit of chemistry together. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Love the pregame show, love the postgame show. I think when it's all said and done, by mid-season, this might be what the apex of what television is looking like when it comes to a full-fledged broadcast from start to finish. But it was really enjoyable to me.
Everyone, I've got 2 things I'm going to say about this. Number one, for the people that were expressing issues, I didn't run into any issues, but at the same time, you got to think about the amount of bandwidth that's being used and the fact that I don't know if maybe the latest and greatest smart TV is prepped for this type of usage and everything else like that. I don't know. I think that still is. I'm going to leave that out there to be something that has to be investigated. Number two, there was always all this talk about Jeff Bezos owning a team. He now owns 30 of them on Thursday night
32
for
teams.
the next 11 years. Big shout out to Tony D and Jeeves. Thank you guys for jumping in here. So what do you think about that? There's no need for him to own a team when you have every team.
I think it's one of those things where it looks like if he wants to jump in the stratosphere of owning a team, there, of course, he's not going to be able to do what he has with the NFL, those exclusive deals, those exclusive contracts, having, Thursday night football. Um, I think this, allows him to play ball, but I think maybe Bezos jumps into another venture. Maybe he jumps into the NBA. Maybe Jeff Bezos is that guy that gets the NBA team, the expansion team, you know. No, but I think when it comes to Bezos in the NFL, I think this is, you're right, this is a way of owning a team. But at the end of the day, you can own a team, own a network. He's Jeff Bezos. He can do what he wants to. He might put the kid in his team's name. His team, the kid's name. Who knows? But I think right now maybe Jeff is just chilling out. I think that he's going to see what this Amazon TV stuff does. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me, Ted, to be honest with you, if Amazon takes it off to the roof, that Amazon gets a Super Bowl in the next TV deal.
Wow.
Because you want to talk about having something internationally done correctly. Can you imagine Amazon just cutting out every middleman and just saying, we're just going to put on Prime Video worldwide? And we'll cut all the middlemen out.
Yeah, I think that's something where, I mean, you talk about direct to consumer.
It gets no more direct than that.
It gets no more direct than that. I want to stick with football with you. He was interviewed. Well, he was a former Giants assistant. He was interviewed by the Jets. He turned the Jets down, which was a smart move by him, because they told him, we have our own special teams coach. We have our own defensive coordinator, and you're just going to fiddle around with the offense. How big of a bust has Matt Rule been?
It's been a train wreck from day one, and it's like watching glitter. It's like watching Geely. It sounded good in concept, but it's a beautiful train wreck if you're a non-Carolina Panthers fan. Like, this thing is gone off the rails. Rule had tried. Here's the problem that's come with this, and it's starting to become an interesting case and scenario in the NFL. You have hotshot NFL, these hotshot college coaches that have been on NFL staffs before, and they become the hot name when it comes to taking an NFL job, and they fall flat on their face. We talk about how great Jimmy Johnson was with the Dallas Cowboys. Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's players. But how many lately have you had direct success coming from the college game into the pros? Now you're looking at, you look at the failures of, I'm going to say Nick Saban didn't have the same success with the Dolphins as he did, in Alabama, of course, or even LSU, or Michigan State. And you look at, Urban Meyer, how that was a catastrophe in Jacksonville, and Matt Rule is going to be the next case. When Matt Rule eventually gets heave-hoed out the building, and the only reason why he wasn't heave-hoed is because if he was fired last season, David Tepper's on the hook for everything left on his contract. So if he fires him, I think at the end of the season, there's like a partial buyout in his contract, a partial clause in his contract where he doesn't have to get owed everything. If they fired him last season, Rule gets everything. Bonuses, everything. He gets everything to go out the door. So
Danny, he went from 5-11 to 5-12, and the two winnable games to start the season, he blew both of them.
And I mean, Sundays was worse than week one. I mean, yesterday's performance was worse than it was in the first week of the season. It was almost to the point where it was egregious. The play calling down the stretch was just completely horrible. And last season he had a pass because Christian McCaffrey couldn't stay on the field. McCaffrey hasn't been on the field, if you go into the season, had only played 10 out of the 30 games since he signed that mega extension with the Panthers. So Rule's excuse the last 2 years has been he hasn't had a healthy Christian McCaffrey, Week one, McCaffrey has 14 touches. So what was the explanation about that? Yesterday, McCaffrey got touches, but he didn't get enough of them. I mean, Ted, your running back, he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. You're supposed to feed him the ball or get him the ball in space. And truth be honest with you, Rule hasn't had a quarterback to start a new season. He's had a new quarterback every single year. He's shown Cam Newton the door. They had Teddy Bridgewater year one. They had Sam Darnold in his experiment in year two. And now the Baker Mayfield experiment has gone really bad really quickly. And Ted, baseball, one quarterback, two quarterbacks, three quarterbacks, you're out. You can't have three quarterbacks in 3 years and expect this to work.
That's true.
And there's been complaints about him running a college-style program in the NFL. And once again, you cannot treat NFL players like college kids. Those guys, a lot of those guys make more money. Some of those guys make more money than you. So you have to be able to manage egos, and he just hasn't been very good with that. Now, mind you, David Tepper has the second biggest, he's the second richest owner in the NFL. So maybe this buyout means nothing to him. It might not mean nothing to him. But I can't see Rule getting to 0-5. If he gets to 0-5, he'll be 0 and no job. He'll be the front runner for the Nebraska job at that point.
Gotcha. Hey, want to flip over to MLB really quick and ask you, hands down, he's going to be the MVP, AL MVP. Coming from a perspective of being a non-Yankee fan, do you care about Aaron Judge's hunt for Roger Maris's 61 home run Yankee record?
Great season, great numbers, but it's not. It's Roger Maris's number, and that number's been surpassed not once, not twice, but 3 times. So the allure of chasing Roger Maris is kind of gone. Now the fact that you have a Yankee trying to break the Yankee single season record is great. It's a beautiful thing. Aaron Judge is like Lamar Jackson. Aaron Judge is the baseball version of Lamar Jackson in the NFL. Basically, he was told to better himself. And now the number that Aaron Judge is going to get in the offseason is extremely large. The same thing with Lamar Jackson if he continues at this pace. So I'm happy for Aaron. I hope he hits 62. I hope he hits 65, 66. I mean, as long as he's not hitting home runs against my Mets in the playoffs, it doesn't really matter at this point. But, I wish nothing but success. I hope he hits as many home runs as possible. That way he gets what he is deserving so. And the Yankees are going to have to open up a checkbook. Because, Ted, for the first time, I feel like a Yankee player, the Yankees might not be able to outbid for their own player. And it seems so weird. It seems weird. We're a weird matrix when the Yankees cannot outbid somebody for their own player. So we'll see how this turns out.
Shout out to Leggy Lady. Thank you for coming through. Evening to you. Want to briefly touch upon NBA. Heard the talk today. The news broke. Shams as usual. Did Shams sign a new deal? Because he's running circles around Woj.
I think Sports Business Journal got this one first, though. I think SBJ got this one first before Shams did.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, yeah, Shams, I think Woj's on vacation. Woj's on vacation. I think he did the pod with Donovan Mitchell. Like, you know what? I'm gonna take a week off. Let Shams have everything this week, and I'll see you guys at training camp on Monday. But as far as what was broken about the story that was broken today about the age limit, it's interesting now that they're dropping it back down to 18 because at what we see with G League Ignite. We've seen the G League Ignite program really take off. We've seen kids go to overtime elite. They've had kids drafted Dyson Daniels. But the next big overtime elite, the real ones, are coming this year with the Thompson twins. They've been in the camp for 2 years. Amen and Sir Thompson, Ted. They're real. They're really, really good. And then Scoot Henderson's coming from G League Ignite. So now it's like you got A side, B side. Because Scoot Henderson has been part of the G League Ignite program for 2 years. He's considered the number 2 overall prospect. The Thompson twins are both top 6 prospects. So the age is interesting because if it's now being dropped down to 18, I wonder how many kids are going to start thinking about G League Ignite or start thinking about, overtime elite if the program allows you to join at 18 now. How many kids are going to go to college? It's a slippery slope, but I think if the owners give the concession for the players to be a bit younger, the owners are going to ask for something huge in this collective bargaining agreement, and it's going to come with these forced trades after big contracts. I think that's the next one coming. So the owners are going to give a little to say, hey, we gave you this. We worked with you guys on mental health, which is a huge thing that players have been asking for, about getting the extended time they need for players to deal with mental health issues. Whether you want to talk about Ben Simmons or not, Ben Simmons had a whole huge thing on mental health. DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love have talked about it extensively.
And you got to commend them for bringing the topic up.
And now it's being taken. It's just as serious as any injury.
Yes.
I would like to see how the wording of it is going to seem, how long players can be out due to mental health and so on and so forth, because we want the players to be healthy as much as possible. But I feel like the owners are giving concessions to the players now because it's going to be a bloodbath when it comes to these contracts. Because, Ted, once we get the new TV deal in place and once expansion comes, we're going to start seeing $300 million contracts in the NBA. And on top of the $300 million contracts, there's got to have to be something or emergency plan in place to make sure that these guys don't force their way out 10 months into a contract.
True. I think Kevin Durant was officially 2 days into his $196 million 4-year contract, talking that nonsense that he did. I want to commend Joe Tsai. I mean, I get it. I get both sides of it. But I'm glad, and this for me being a Nets homer, that he didn't buckle.
I mean, Ted, the thing is, when you have guaranteed money on the deal, you can't void the contract out, and no player is willing to take. No players will want to opt out of that money. You can't get out of it. Kevin didn't have exactly the strongest, leverage, and on top of
leverage,
we don't have the exact leverage, and then there's not the offers or teams to be able to make the offers to make it work. No one really had a package to even make sense for the Nets. And the Nets didn't want DeAndre Ayton, and because they had Ben Simmons on the roster, a lot of the moves they could have made, they could not make because it's quote unquote illegal to make those moves because of Ben Simmons' contract, which got moved a year after he just signed the extension in Philadelphia.
Right.
So it's kind of a catch-22. I felt like Durant wasn't going to go anywhere, and nobody had the package. You trade somebody in the division, the Nets were going to take everything that the Celtics had, plus unborn children and neighbors, and probably part ownership of the Red Sox to get Kevin Durant to wear green. I mean, Toronto would have had to give up all of Ontario to get Kevin Durant into the Raptors uniform. I mean, they would have had to trade the championship banner. They would have had to trade the Blue Jays. They would have had to find George Bell, the World Series home run ball that was hit by Joe Carter.
And the Maple Leafs.
They would have had to take the Maple Leafs and probably and somewhere the Toronto Argonauts was in the deal somewhere.
Yes, from the CFL days.
Yeah, they would have all those.
I know we're tight for time. I want to ask you, what are our expectations for this upcoming Monday for Media Day at Barclays Center with Durant, Irving, and Simmons all under the same roof?
Comedy. I don't know which media day I'm looking forward to more. Lakers, who is on Sunday, or Nets on Monday.
And you're airing it live on Yes at 11 a.m. ET.
I don't know which one's going to be more entertaining because having to see, I know Kyrie's situation is going to be a little different as far as the question answering because he's been doing a great job when it comes to not giving full answers to anything on these questions. Durant's going to cut somebody a dirty look, and I want to know even Ben Simmons is going to speak. I'm not even sure this dude's even going to talk. Okay,
gotcha.
And one person I really want to hear from is Steve Nash. I really want to hear what Nash has to say about all of this, about this entire summer.
Just his thoughts on it.
Yeah, and then on the Lakers side, you have the whole LeBron, AD. Now they added Dennis Schroeder over the weekend on top of Patrick Beverley, on top of Russell Westbrook. How is that all going to work? I'm trying to figure out how Darvin Ham is going to figure out how to use Russell Westbrook with Patrick Beverley and Dennis Schroeder, who all basically do the same thing.
Right.
Play point guard. And none of them are technically shooting guards. So it's going to be a weird and wild media day, but I'm excited for it, though.
Hey, just in under 30 seconds, who were you more impressed with yesterday? Tua or Lamar Jackson?
Listen, Tyreek Hill said it best. We about to get Tua paid. For 3 quarters, Lamar Jackson was the story of the NFL. And for about 26 minutes on NFL Red Zone, Tua Tagovailoa basically just took the world by storm. And the thing is, I'm glad for Tua because there's been such a bias on Tua. Justin Herbert can lose a game by 3 points, but if he throws 3 touchdowns, Justin Herbert's the next coming of the greatest quarterback ever. Joe Burrow can have a good game, they lose, and then Burrow's about to get paid. Tua can win 20-7, and nobody talks about how good Tua was all day. They talk about the next quarterback, the next quarterback, the next quarterback. You know, I'm a fan of Tua Tagovailoa because I want him to succeed because of what he's going through. The same way I want Jalen Hurts to succeed in Philadelphia. You know, it's crazy how a guy takes you to the playoffs and they're still talking about if he don't do nothing this year, he's out the door. They're talking about they want to send this man to Houston if he doesn't make the playoffs.
Insane.
And Ted, Justin Herbert is 16-18 as a starter.
You know. Hey, tell us best places where we can find your work. We can see what you're talking about. We can read your latest thoughts on the NBA and just sports in general.
You can catch me at Danny underscore 3 Thompson on Twitter. DANY number 3 Thompson on Twitter. The Around the Association podcast will begin on Tuesday. We'll start Tuesday after Media Day and just start getting you guys ready for the NBA season. Preseason is coming up, so I'll be discussing all things about the media days coming up this week. As far as article work coming, I have stuff coming. I have stuff in the pipeline. I took some time away. Like I said, I did an audio pod with Ted last week to get some health in order, get some other things in order. But I'm super excited about the NBA season. My content this year might be a little bit different than what I've done before. Besides writing stuff about the NBA and doing a podcast, I'm also going to take much more of a deeper dive onto the numerical side of the basketball game, writing stuff about analytics, writing stuff about, putting together, bridging the gap between the people who are watching the game and the people who are on the data side. So, that has been what I've been working on and putting it all together. So you're going to find me in different places. Like I said, still have a few more things up my sleeve, Ted. But I did want to announce the basketball pod will be back next week. So we're going to be doing pods, 20, 25-minute pods, maybe 3 or 4 days a week, through different various media sources, media channels. I'm excited about it. I haven't really done a basketball pod in a while. But I love doing other things at the same time. So you'll see me talking sports other ways. But Ted, it's round ball season. It's my time of year. Big shout out to the Aces yesterday for winning the championship.
Yes. I gotta definitely have you back for just a WNBA only discussion and on how we fix the WNBA.
Listen, 2 words, or one word and 2 syllables: expansion, and we'll leave it at that.
Got it. Danny, want to thank you for coming through.
Always,
this is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents.